Good morning from a very wet and rainy Nairobi. How are you all doing? Welcome to the third episode, the third edition of The Great Gathering. It is such a pleasure to be here with all of you. How's everyone doing today? I'm just going to wait for a few seconds for some people to sign on. It is the third edition. I can't believe it. Welcome, everyone, and thank you again for joining me today here on the third edition of The Great Gathering. So I want to just get straight into it, and we're going to start again by becoming present. So closing your eyes, having your feet firmly on the floor, on the ground, taking a deep breath. And today I want to guide you to connect to your I am presence. So closing your eyes and connecting into your heart chakra, into your heart space, connecting into your I am presence. Breathing deeply, softening, connecting to the I am divine, I am sacred, I am whole, I am grateful, I am that I am. Just taking a couple more deep breaths here, releasing any tension, any anxiety, worry, to this amazing I am presence within you, surrendering. And letting yourself and your awareness come into this present moment. Great. So today I want to start with where we're at today energetically. So we just had the Chinese New Year, which is the year of the rat, which now is also the year of new beginnings, new transformations, and combined with the Aquarius new moon. So what this means is that we are being called once again to truly step into the truth of who we are. To truly step into the truth of who we are. And in other words, our most authentic self. Everything that we have been carrying in relationships, as belief systems, as our cultural backgrounds and beliefs, all of these parts of us now need to start becoming integrated into one and aligned into one. It doesn't work for us to be one kind of personality at work, for example, another kind of personality with our kids, another kind of personality with our family. We need to really start integrating all these parts of who we are and start calling back all these parts of who we are so that we can truly stand in our power and be the fullest that we can possibly be. So again, more signs from the universe, more signs astrologically that we really need to start calling all these parts back to us so that we can be aligned and truly step into who we're meant to be in this lifetime. Last week, I spoke about the fact that we are light, we are energy bodies, and really light is something that travels beyond dimensions. And this is what we use to, first of all, astral travel, if you want to call it that. This is what we use to access our multidimensional nature. the light that we're made of, the energy that we're made of. And I want you to start getting into this sort of practice of using energy and what makes you who you are, to be able to explore these different parts of you. You're the only one who can really do that. We can't sit here and sort of wait for other people to come in and extract those parts of us. Yes, we can go to healers. Yes, we can go to therapists. But the point of this great gatherings is to be able to empower you to start being able to work on these aspects of who you are. And like I said last time, self-diagnose, start having fun with who you are, start exploring all these parts of yourself, because they're really beautiful and huge. Okay, so I want us to start today with the understanding that, first of all of who we are exists in the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. And at no point can we work on one part of us without working on all of who we are. We're holistic beings, we're multidimensional beings. And so it is only when we work holistically within the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual that we find success in our own healing abilities. And as we continue to heal ourselves, as we continue to manifest whatever it is that we desire, and we start getting into the practice of seeing ourselves as multidimensional beings, we start getting more comfortable with the truth of who we are, which is that we're magnificent, we are divine, we are incredible beings of light. So today I want us to touch on vulnerabilities and weaknesses. This is such a deep part of who we are, and through the education system, through our upbringing, through what's considered cool, what's not considered cool, we tend to suppress and push these vulnerabilities and weaknesses as deep down inside us as we possibly can. And ultimately, all that creates, if you think holistically within physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual energy bodies, all that does is either create pain, anxiety, fear, stress, insecurity, disease, unhappiness, imbalance. And today, we are truly being called to look at these vulnerabilities and weaknesses with a different lens, with a different eye, with one of healing, with one of support from the universe, with support from people who we ask for support, our friends, our family. But the first thing that we have to do is come to the clarity of what our vulnerabilities are. What are our weaknesses? Do we allow others to take advantage of us? Do we continue to come from this victim mentality? Do we believe that we have to give up something in order to gain love from others? Do we people please? Do we not speak our truth? Do we hide our authentic self and our authentic truth in the hope that we will be accepted? So today I call on you to truly get in touch with your most vulnerable selves, your weaknesses, because I want to remind you that this is where your greatest power lies, is in facing your vulnerabilities and facing your weaknesses so that they don't become a point of parts of you that you must hide, or parts of you that you feel like you cannot accept, or what will others think? What will others judge you as? What will others criticize you as? And again, going back to the same point that I've been making over the last couple of weeks, is that we are all unique, and there is such beauty in that. There is such magic in being unique. So we need to embrace all of these parts of who we are. And until and unless we accept our vulnerabilities and our weaknesses, we will never be truly able to step into the power of who we are. When we are able to address these vulnerabilities and these weaknesses, we step closer to knowing the self. I think this has been my mantra since I was about 11 years old. It's something that I knew so deep, so strongly inside me, that without knowing myself, without knowing the self, there was nothing else. There was nothing more important to me. And this means that we need to know all of who we are, the shadow, the light, the weaknesses, the vulnerabilities. When we know the self, this is the one way that we can ultimately reach radical self-acceptance. Not just, yeah, I like the way I look now, I like the way my body feels. No, I'm talking about absolutely radical self-acceptance. Radical meaning there is no other option, that we accept each other, that we accept ourselves from the absolute deepest core of who we are. That is radical. There is no part of who we are that we don't accept. Okay? So in order for us to achieve radical self-acceptance and knowing the self, we have to address our weaknesses and vulnerabilities. So for example, in my life, I found that one of my weaknesses and vulnerabilities is that I used to want to have everyone know what I know. For example, I wanted everyone to be at the same place as me, and I had very little patience for people who were not at the same level as me. And not saying that my level was better than theirs or theirs was worse than mine, but if someone showed any kind of weakness or vulnerability, it would really upset me. It would really piss me off. And I would have absolutely no patience and no compassion for these people. And I soon came to realize that actually it was my weakness and my vulnerability that I was trying to hide and to protect and to cover up by having impatience towards these others. And so I hope you're able to come to this truth within yourself of what are the things that cause impatience in you? What are the things that cause anger or frustration in you? Because this is where your vulnerabilities and your weaknesses probably come from. They also come from our childhood and all the stuff that we have not healed in our inner child. And that's why our inner child work is so important. And what are these parts of us that we need to still heal? What are these parts of us that we have ignored or suppressed? Was there a time in your childhood that maybe you were screaming for attention and it never came? Was there a time in your childhood that maybe you were hungry and you had been left alone and your parents were busy or something happened? You know, you were not given the attention or the love that we as children kind of expect, because that's what our nature is. Our nature is one of unconditional love. So there could be many things. It could be, like, for example, for me, I was a very sick child. I used to get really high fevers and kind of, fits. And that was seriously traumatic for me. And I would really encourage you to go back and understand from your childhood, what were those traumatic moments for you? Was it that your parents were getting divorced or they were arguing all the time? Or that someone in the family who was close to you passed away, or, I mean, there's so many causes of trauma, and it's really up to you to be able to examine what those are. Of course, I'm once again here to support you and to guide you through this. So please do feel free to reach out and let me know where I can assist you in identifying what these vulnerabilities and weaknesses could potentially be for you. Yeah, sorry, I'm here in my notes again. Yeah, once we address our vulnerabilities and weaknesses directly, remember that it's your soul that will direct you to where you need to be going. And in order to truly cultivate this incredible relationship with our soul, because it is the biggest part of us, it is multidimensional, it exists for eternity. It exists in so many different parts of this universe already. What we carry right now as our soul is a part of who we are. It's not all of who we are. So once again, calling all of that energy back to us by creating space, by being able to accept what our vulnerabilities are and releasing them so that we can bring in the true magnanimous, magnificent energy of our soul. I hope I'm making sense. Please, please, please feel free to reach out, okay? How can we feel vulnerable without guilt and shame? This is a really big question for most people, because most of us suppress this vulnerability in us because we feel guilty or we feel ashamed to see that part of ourselves. We're not taught that weakness is okay, right? How do you talk to yourself? Do you talk to yourself with criticism? Do you talk to yourself with love? Do you talk to yourself with kindness and gentleness? How we talk to ourselves and the words that we use towards ourselves is so important for us to be able to address and to understand where our vulnerabilities lie. Okay, we would never talk to other people with unkindness in our heart, with anger, unless we absolutely have to. And again, that trigger of being angry comes straight back into where we carry our vulnerabilities and weaknesses. Okay? Where is it that you carry grief? You know, every single experience that we may be heartbroken from carries an energy of grief. Your parents passing away, like for me, that was my dad last year. And carrying grief is a heavy, heavy burden, but it's something that we have to go through. There's no way that we can go around it. And I can tell you that I'm still going through the grief of losing my father. So even a breakup is part of grieving. Giving up parts of ourselves that we no longer need carries an element of grief, and that need to be honored. And again, it comes back to how we speak with ourselves. Think about how society has taught us to not deal with vulnerability. Imagine being in a corporate situation where you're not allowed to show your weaknesses. You're not allowed to show your intuitive ability because that is a weakness. So you have to become like everyone else around you. And therefore, you take on parts of other people that are not yours. And I truly encourage you to start looking at parts of you that you are carrying that are not yours. Okay? Getting into now the healing aspects of vulnerability and weakness is, how do you want to feel every day? How do you want to feel every day? You want to feel grounded and creative and empowered and loving towards yourself first. respected, heard for speaking your truth, being able to use your intuition, being able to trust your intuition, being able to always be connected to spirit and source so that you can be healthy and happy, curious, adventurous, playful, all of these incredible aspects of who we can be in our highest and fullest potential. When we're aligned in these aspects of who we are, for example, being grounded, creative, empowered, loving, respected and heard for speaking our truth, being able to use and trust our intuition, being connected to spirit and source, this is when things come to us. This is when we're able to attract what is truly meant for our soul to fulfill its purpose, okay? I wanted to talk again today a little bit more about vibrational frequencies. I see that we're on 21 minutes already, so I'll try and get through this because I want to start introducing this for next week as well, okay? Why are vibrational frequencies and vibrational energies so important? Ultimately, we all feel energy. You can walk into a room and you feel the energy in the room. Either it boosts you and makes you really energized and happy, or you can start feeling the heaviness, or people aren't in their alignment, people aren't doing their work, for example. So we all do feel energy. So what happens is that our energetic frequencies, okay, so this is our mental, emotional, spiritual, and our physical bodies are vibrating at a certain frequency. What these frequencies contain are either our limiting belief systems or the parts of who we are truly meant to be. And what happens is that we attract to us the energies and the frequencies that we are vibrating at. Okay, so if I'm vibrating at a frequency where I am afraid of being alone, for example, I will create situations where, even though I may belong to groups and gatherings and communities, I will create situations within those groups and communities where I will manifest my fear of being alone, and therefore I will push other people away, okay? Rather than feeling like I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be supported. So now, when we carry, for example, the frequency of I am grateful for all of the abundance that I have in my life, we carry the frequency of gratitude and we carry the frequency of abundance. And this is what we then attract to us, because energetically, if you go back into what you studied at school in physics, like energy attracts like energy. So when you're positive and happy and abundant and energized, that's the reality that you're going to create, okay? And I keep saying this over and over again because it is such an important part of your healing. What this leads us to is ultimately the alignment of the conscious and the subconscious and the unconscious. Okay, whether we like it or not, thoughts create our reality. So today, if I change my thought to something negative and something limiting, immediately the energetic field in my body will change. Okay, so how do you maintain positivity? How do you maintain thoughts? First of all, we need to start going into our belief systems and shifting them at a cellular level. And remember, there is so much happening in the world right now that we need to truly start getting into this alignment of our subconscious and our conscious mind. There is no other option. The only other option is being left behind. I want you to start listening to your body. Start listening to what your body is telling you. Does it feel tight? Does it feel like as if someone's trying to stab you in the back or stab you in the stomach? What does that feel like? Is it open and expansive and energizing again and light? Because again, that is the frequency that you give out. So that is the frequency that you will receive. Listen to your body. Okay, start coming out of your head and start coming into your body. And as you use the chakra system, so for example, if I feel a tightness in my throat, it is because I am not speaking my truth, maybe, or I am not expressing myself in my highest way. If I feel something in my solar plexus, I feel a tightness, it means I'm giving my power away to a situation. It means I'm allowing other people to take advantage of me. So as you start using the information that is stored in your body, you will be able to understand where your vulnerabilities and weaknesses lie. And once you can understand where your vulnerabilities and weaknesses lie, you can start changing this energy so that you can embrace your greatest power. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Please, 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 again, feel free to make comments, ask questions, share in the group. Today, I think I'm going to leave it there. It's, wow, I could talk forever. Think about vibrational frequencies and how we need to address these according to our vulnerabilities and weaknesses. Where we carry our vulnerabilities with guilt and shame, how we talk to ourselves, how can we get better at listening to our bodies, and therefore talking to our bodies in a more softer, kinder, more loving way. What is it that you want to feel every single day? And how do you get into these states of self-love where there is no compromise? Because once we love ourselves in our frequency, that is what we will attract to us. And that is how we empower ourselves to manifest the life that we want. Our soul will finally be ready to receive everything that we are destined to receive. Remember that you can also work directly with me through one-on-one sessions. So please send me a message or send me an email on soulfulliving88@gmail.com. Send me a comment. There are so many different ways that we can start stepping into our power and truly understanding our soul at its deepest level, understanding our hearts at its deepest level, and being able to allow for flow and ease and stepping into the most grateful parts of who we are so that we can attract everything that we would love to have in our lives. Once again, thank you all so much for listening and spending this time with me today. Please feel free to share and tag anyone who you feel this might be useful for. This is the Great Gathering, and we are all sitting here in community and reaching each other in community so that we can ultimately live our soul purpose and light this world on fire. Thank you so much, everyone. Much Tuesday love to you, and I will see you all next week. Good.